Today I've got some tips for making your marketing videos feel more high-end and more luxurious. This is all about style and substance, and it has nothing to do with spending a bunch of money on expensive equipment or hiring an expensive crew. Let's do it. The first tip I have for you is to avoid calls to action. You've definitely seen this screen so many times in your life with the narrator even reciting a phone number and urging you to call now. These types of calls to action definitely cheapen your marketing videos. If you think about the biggest brands spending the most money on advertising today, they never, ever, ever have calls to action like this. Even a company that sells like a lower end item like McDonald's does not have an end screen urging you to come to McDonald's right now for that burger. It cheapens what you are doing. So for that reason, I say you don't need this type of call to action at all. Here's the thing. If someone's interested in you, your product, or your service, they'll know how to find you. It's called Google. Keep your videos clean and professional and give the air that people already know who you are. And if not, give them the credit for knowing how to find you. I know it's a hot take, but I say you don't need that cheesy call to action at the end. You just don't. All right, my next tip for you is all about selecting your narrator. It's so common for people to think they need a male, big booming voice to narrate their commercials and marketing videos, like a movie trailer voice. I get this all the time. But again, if you pay attention to the higher end brands or the bigger brands in our culture, they are not using that voice. What are they using? They're using younger sounding voices. They're using maybe voices with a little bit more personality. They might be using voices with a little vocal fry at the end. That's what's current and more high-end today. So I say forgo that big, cheesy, cliche, male radio voice. You don't need that. Pick something out of the box and make your video marketing stand out with that. My next tip is all about the content of your scripts. You want to make your scripts memorable using emotion or humor as opposed to facts. Think about your typical law firm commercial. It's always some guy in a suit going, "Have you been injured?" That is so dated and so low budget feeling. Check out this video from the huge law firm of Morgan & Morgan.
When it comes to good things, we always want more.
I want more.
Even as a child, Miss Moore was no different.
More!
She loved more.
More?
So when she was injured, she called Morgan & Morgan. With more lawyers, more offices, and more than $15 billion recovered, she didn't have to ask for more anymore. When you're injured, you deserve more. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Isn't that totally out of the box and fun? They are using that big male narrator, but it's kind of funny and humorous in the way that they use it. And I hope you don't need a personal injury attorney, but just because you don't need this service doesn't mean you shouldn't like this ad. I think this ad is hilarious, and I think they've done a really good job and redefined what a law firm commercial could look like. So cheers to you, Morgan & Morgan. Thank you for thinking outside the box on this one. All right, before I get to my next tip, if you feel like you're learning something though, you guys let me know. Give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and ring that bell. Speaking of scripts, here's another one for you. Use fewer words in your scripts. Give your videos some breathing room. We all have seen the commercials where the narrator actually sounds like they've been sped up because people are trying to cram so much content into 30 seconds. A lot of people feel like I've got 30 seconds because I'm running a broadcast commercial, or I don't want this video to be longer than a minute because no one's going to pay attention, even online. How many words can I stuff in there? I would challenge you to say, how few words could you use in your advertising, and how can you rely on visuals more to tell that story? Again, if you go back to bigger brands, they don't have like voiceovers that sound like they're sped up, trying to get in as much information as possible in 30 seconds. That's what used car salesmen do, and you're above that. If you want to feel more upscale, more high-end, more luxurious, use fewer words and more let your visuals tell the story. Speaking of visuals, my next tip is for those of you who have to rely on stock video for your video marketing. There's nothing wrong with using stock video, but you want to approach it in the right way. The impression you want to give when you're using stock video is that these are not stock shots, that they are shots captured particularly for you, your brand, and this project. Take a look at all of these shots that have to do with real estate. Composition-wise, they're all very similar. It's people enjoying their new homes, moving in, getting new keys to their house. But if you really examine these shots, some of them don't really fit in with the rest because, let's say, some of them are a lot darker in tone or color than the other ones. Some of them are more cool toned while others are more warm toned. Or they're shot with a very shallow depth of field, which means that the backgrounds are very out of focus on them. I'm not saying that any of these shots is better than the other, but you want to look at your stock shots and think, does this look like it was shot by the same videographer using the same camera? If you don't approach your stock shot selection in this way, you're going to end up with a hodgepodge of images and it's going to look very cobbled together. With your marketing videos, you want it to feel like all of this content was created just for you and just for your brand. And so when you're selecting your stock shots and images, you want everything to feel very cohesive. But if you're stuck and you really have some shots that stick out a little bit more than others, I do have a hack for you. By adding these black bars on the top and bottom of your screen, it's going to make all of your clips feel more cohesive. This is called letterboxing. Basically, you're changing the formatting of your video to be more of a wide screen format. So if you are cobbling your shots together, I would definitely recommend doing some letterboxing to try to make everything feel more unified. You guys, I hope these tips were helpful for you in your video marketing. You know, you don't have to spend a ton of money to get a good marketing video going. Think of yourself as a more high-end luxury brand. Which tip do you think was the most helpful? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks to everyone who watches all the way to the end. I picked out some other videos for you. I'll see you again.